Here's what it looked like in the seaside city of Jableh at the weekend. Everything fair game. Businesses, property, people. What happened in the coastal areas of Syria over the last 5 days was and continues to be chaotic, violent, hard to understand. Today, Interim President Ahmed Al-Sharaa promised justice, even if it meant those aligned with him were implicated in the violence. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out.
We fought to defend the oppressed, and we won't accept that any blood be shed unjustly or goes without punishment or accountability, even among those closest to us.
The bloodiest 4 days in Syria's recent history started along the coast. It began there for a reason. It was in these places, like Latakia, Tartus, Banyas, where former officers of Bashar Al-Assad's army, who had not surrendered, were based in large numbers. Since December and the fall of the Assad regime, President Ahmed Al-Sharaa's government forces have been trying to take back control of these areas. Here's what that looked like last Tuesday in Latakia, for example. 2 days later, Thursday last week, Assad ex-commanders hit back in a big way. In Jableh, security forces were ambushed. Dozens were killed. It was an existential threat to the new administration in Damascus. People were talking insurgency. So, Al-Sharaa, the president, formerly known as Jableh, threw everything at it in order to put it down. But everything wasn't just his new general security forces. It included a large patchwork of government-aligned militia. They ranged from Turkish-backed militants in the north through to mercenaries originally from places like Chechen in Uzbekistan. Some motivated by money, some by extreme Islamist ideology. And they came in their thousands to the coast. The pro-Assad soldiers retreated into the Alawite neighborhoods they came from. And then those government-aligned Sunni militia turned their attention to those areas. Case in point, a hospital near the town of Banyas yesterday. Dozens of people started presenting with gunshot wounds at the local hospital. Dr. Tawfiq Ismail went out into the street. This is what he saw.
تشكيلات العصابات الجديده ثلاث ارباعها من الشيشان والجول يعني ما من سوريين بالاصل من فلول النظام شو فلول النظام؟ فلول النظام ولا شيء نحن سوريين بس يعني للاسف الشديد التهمه الملصقه فينا انه مسلمون علويين.
At around the same time as this was happening on the coast, a protest in Damascus against the violence. It was billed as a silent demonstration for peace and reconciliation. Here's how that went. Violence broke out. Shots were fired to disperse the crowd. We've come into this cell phone shop. There is no such thing as a silent demonstration in Syria. We don't know the nature, we don't know what's happening outside. We're going to wait here until we figure out what's happened. As we left, we grabbed a few voices, determined not to be drowned out by the violence.
Anyone who's lost a martyr, my heart is with you. From the security forces or our Alawite communities.
Syria is a country traumatized by years of war. The last 4 months presented the prospect of respite, at least. The last 4 days drew a line under even that.
Well, let's talk more about all of this with Dr. Hyde Hyde, who's a consulting fellow with the Middle East and North Africa programme at the think tank Chatham House and is Syrian himself. There hasn't exactly been a crackdown on the men who dragged out Alawites from their homes and shot them dead. I mean, what does this tell us about the sort of the remaining fragility in Syria and the thirst for revenge?
Well, it's clearly a fragile situation there. You have thousands of former regime personnel, whether those used to belong to the military or security apparatus, they're still free in the coastal area of Syria. You have also thousands of individuals who were part of the military forces who were dismissed as the military and security forces were disbanded by the new authorities. And you have a difficult financial situation, and you have limited capacity when it comes to the ability of new authorities to really secure the areas they have captured from the former regime. So because of all of those different factors, the situation there remains very fragile, and challenges are expected to continue for at least the foreseeable future.
Now, what about the impact of this deal with the American-backed Kurdish forces of the SDF? I mean, first of all, how significant is that?
It's very significant. It's a historical moment for sure, because for the first time in over a decade, right now, all of Syria is united again. And at least on paper, all of the forces inside Syria now are willing to be united under one umbrella. However, there are major sort of uncertainties about how this agreement will be implemented, because it does not address any of the sticking points that basically prevented the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces from reaching this agreement earlier.
Now, but there are also some interesting sticking points, are there? I mean, for example, what happens to the ISIS prisoners who are being held by the Kurds now that HTS, who were of a similar ideology once upon a time, are in control of the government?
Well, it's one of the questions that so far we don't have any answers to. Up until this agreement was announced, the SDF, the Syrian Democratic Forces, have insisted on remaining in charge of managing the ISIS-related camps as well as presence there. In addition to the local dynamics, you have the American forces are still also there and are still managing the anti-ISIS campaign and providing support for those facilities. And the US and HTS or the new authorities are still not on speaking terms, so we don't know what will happen there.
Not on speaking terms, but all integrated now. Dr. Hyde Hyde, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.